Hello and welcome. Today we're going to do a quick get ready with me featuring some new products as well as some favorites like the Tom Ford Cream Blush. We've got the Viseart Cool Mattes Original, which is now back. So happy, this is new to me. The Rephr and Alexandra Anel brush in 01 and the two new Dior Balms along with some favorites. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're going to start off with the Prada Primer, and I'm going to bring you in just a little closer so you can see all the textures clearly on my skin. All right, so here's the primer. I love how we have kind of this more fine tip applicator, and I've talked about this primer a few times already on my channel, so I think it's really nice. The more I use it, the more I like it. So this side has the primer. This side doesn't. You can see we do get a bit of blur. We also get a little bit of a matte effect to it. And this has like a gel type texture. So it feels almost like a gel based moisturizer. And it dries to like a silky matte finish. And I think it's really comfortable. You can see the green tint doesn't do much color wise. But we definitely do have some blurring capabilities. Next, we're going to focus on this brush today. This is from Rephr and Alexandra Anel. So this is the AA01 brush from Rephr. And you can see we have this 3D shape. And it's kind of like in between like a concealer, multi-purpose kind of brush. So we're going to be using this for a lot of products. I've featured this on my Instagram stories already. We did a get ready with me with it before. So today we're going to test it out with some more products. We're going to take the Valentino concealer in LIGR2, and I'm just going to dab a little bit of this on here and just going to use this brush to kind of pat that out. And this is a lightweight concealer. It's a brightening concealer, so it adds a little brightening. I'm using just a little bit, so it's going to be pretty light coverage, but you can build it up to medium. But it's just light and easy and bright. Now for complexion products, I'm taking my 50-50 mix of the Cle de Peau Radiant Natural and Radiant matte foundations that I placed into the cushion packaging when I ran out of that. We're going to use this brush again, just kind of show you how this applies. This brush gives you really much more of a lighter coverage than your traditional foundation brush. So it's really great for like skin tints or any like serum type foundations because it works well with those thinner textures. When you have something that is a little bit thicker in texture, I feel like the bristles here, you know, we just don't have quite enough density and stability for a stiffer formula. But if you want like light coverage of something a little bit thinner and more liquidy, this brush does really well with that. So this is going to give us just kind of a light dusting. You can see it fits really nicely around the nose area, around the eyes, and so forth. So I think it's a really nice multi-purpose brush. You could definitely use it with powders, liquids, creams, whatever. So I'm going to bring you out so you can see what it looks like. So here's the foundation now. And we're going to go in, I'm just going to wipe off the bristles here, and I keep a microfiber cloth on my lap so that I can clean my bristles in between every time. And we're going to go in with the Tom Ford Cream Blush. So this is number 1 Cafe Blush, and I'm just going to dip directly in with the brush and go ahead and put this on. I love this blush. Let me bring you in for the other side. So you can see you can get a really nice, soft, light, natural look. And this brush really makes applying cream blushes really easy because we do have this 3D shape, you know, using this bottom portion here to kind of pat it on really places the color there. But then the longer fibers at the tip really blend it out nicely. So I think this shape is really great for liquid and cream products in particular. And for highlighter, I'm going to take the Dior Forever Glow Maximizer, and this is going to be the nude shade, which is going to be number, you know, it doesn't have a number, it just says nude. So I'm putting a little bit on my hand here, and I'm going to just actually kind of get a little bit of this just on the bristle tips. So just the tips and kind of put it on here. I'll bring you in closer for the other side. So here it is applied, and you can see just using the tips of the bristles for this, kind of wiping off any excess on a cleaner portion of my hand, and just lightly putting that on. Look at that. Really pretty. I have to say, you know, these came out, they had so much hype. I haven't heard that much about them since then, but I still really like them. And then for eyes, we're going to go into the cool original mattes from Viseart. And I did not have these. So they now have them in the petite size. So these are the Petite Matte Cool Original, but they also have the newer version of the Cool, which, you know, I thought I had that palette in the larger size, but I guess I don't. I know it's one that I've always looked at and considered buying, but Viseart was kind enough to send me this one. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to test this one out. So the Viseart eye primer is my go-to. It is going to be, oops, I put out too much. I'm at the end, so like at this point, it's like hard to really get out exactly what I want. But you can see it's kind of like this clear gel texture to it. Has a little bit of a silicone vibe to it when you put it on. And I love how it just kind of smooths things out on my lids. Makes things easy to apply, extends the color wear a bit. Can make things a little bit more vibrant, but it's, you know, it's just comfortable. And, you know, I like it because it's not one of those thicker, pastier ones. And I do like other eye primers for different purposes, but this is my go-to every day, and it has been for many years. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm taking the Rephr 15. We're going to go into this light beigey shade here, and I'm just knocking off the excess. And we're going to put this kind of, let's just dust this over the whole area here. Then I'm going to go into the shade right next to it. We're going to put this specifically in the crease here. And you can see this has a little bit of this really pretty like mauve hue to it. So just being very gentle. You know, ever since I did those eye swatches from the Dior Cle de Peau collection, my eyes, although they aren't as red anymore, they're still very tender. So I'm taking a little break from eye swatches and just trying to be a little bit more gentle here. But I think I ended up with some micro cuts, particularly from that pink palette. So I'm trying to be extra cautious. But look at that. Just such a nice light everyday crease shade. Obviously, we have tons of beautiful shades here that we could use for different purposes. Let's see. Let's deepen the crease a little bit with this gray. And this is a Hakuhodo J5529. And you can see that this is kind of like a deep purple with some gray in it. And just gonna add this to the crease here. But we're staying directly in the socket. Just gonna put a little bit on that outer edge, kind of feather that out a bit. To say I really like this shade. This is a really beautiful color. Next, we're taking the What's Up Beauty R106 and we're going to go into this purple shade. So I'm very excited to try this purple. So this is a shade that, if I recall correctly, and I'll put a picture on the screen, but this shade is not in the newer version. And this was always like one of the shades I really wanted in the original. So I'm really excited to try this. I'm going to go into the shade right next to it. And we're just going to add a little bit of this. This kind of, yeah, it's like a gray with some teal in it. I'm overlapping the purple a little bit and kind of feathering that out. And then let's go into this light blue. So this light blue always makes me think of my mom, because this was like the color of our house growing up. Like the carpet was blue, the walls were blue. We have this shade of blue like all over, and it just always reminds me of that. I'm gonna take the Synergy Pencil Pro and I'm just gonna go into this white ivory shade. It's more of like say like a linen. It's not as yellow as an ivory, but definitely not as white as a stark white. Just gonna put this a little bit in the corner, kind of like fade out a little bit of that light blue so it's a little lighter. I'm taking the Pencil Pro in this shade here that we put on the crease first, and I'm just going to use this down on the lower lash line. I'm taking the Hermes liner brush into this deepest shade here. And I could wet this, but I don't want to. So we're just going to go with it dry. So I could get a little bit of fallout with this, but actually it's not really messy, even dry. Sometimes that can be an issue when you're using it dry with, instead of just tapping. And I'm swiping a little bit, so I'm kind of surprised there is no fallout. But yeah, I mean, okay, you can see there are a couple of particles, but it's not bad considering. So I'm taking the Rephr 15 again and just kind of going over this crease area right above the crease a little bit, just kind of making sure everything's blended. And we have a bit of a gradient, but you can see it's still not perfectly blended. One of the brushes I really like, this is the Viseart Smoky Eye Brush in the medium size. And this is actually intended to be used to help kind of blend your shadows. So you actually use it vertically like this. You can also use it as a regular crease brush, but this is what makes this brush unique. It's really great at kind of giving you more of that like soft watercolor effect. And you can see when you're looking at the bristles, our smallest ones are like down here, and then they slowly increase in length. And that really just helps kind of, it just helps with this particular motion to kind of cover everything and get an even wash of color. So that's the shadow. And I'm gonna have mascara. So I'm using the Queen Musia 2053 mascara. I like this one for volume. You can see it definitely helps add a little volume and drama to the lashes. And then I'm taking the Victoria Beckham Baby Blade to just add in a little bit. All right, so there's that. And then I wanted to test out the new Dior Balms. So we're actually going to start off with shade number 2, which is the lighter balm. So first of all, the packaging here is going to be the same as the Rouge Dior lipsticks. So no difference with that. Then this here is the balm in number 2, which is Dior Gris. And I have to say the photos online make this look like it's almost like a little purpley gray, like a light purpley gray. It's not. It's definitely more like beigey blush. And then it's kind of clear, pretty translucent. I have to say I am disappointed because I was hoping for, I didn't think it was going to be a strong color, but I wanted a little color. And they do make a clear balm, which I passed on, but I feel like this is pretty clear. So that is number 2. This is number 1, which is Dior Midnight. And this is going to be more of a garnet red. So very soft, light shade here if you just put on one layer, but you can build this up to more of a warm garnet red. So let's look at the lip swatches. Just a few product details. We have 3.2 grams of product. These are made in France. And as I mentioned, there are 3 balms that they released. There's Clear, then the Dior Gris, and the Dior Midnight. And overall, I'd have to say, this is a new formula, but it's not that different from the previous Dior matte lip balms. If you've tried those, these feel maybe ever so slightly more hydrating, but almost exactly the same. They have that light floral fragrance to them. And overall, I think they're a nice matte lip balm. They're comfortable, but they're not anything that different from what they used to have. And they used to have like a wide range of shades. And now we only have these 2. I'm not sure why they changed these. Maybe there was an ingredient that wasn't available anymore. I know they've been updating all of their lip products, but I feel like there is such a small difference between these and the previous formula that it's not really noticeable. And the fact that we've gone down in shades, and honestly, this is really only like 1 shade because the Dior Gris is so clear. I don't see it on my lips. So let me know if you can see it, but even on my hand, like it's so hard to find it. So I feel like that one was kind of a waste and I'm a little disappointed. Texturally on the lips, these have it feels like there is a thin balmy texture mixed with powder. So it doesn't dry down to a true powder finish, but you can feel powder in the product. So you definitely have a bit of that powdery texture there. What I would have to say, you know, between these and the older versions, I can feel a little bit more of the balm in these than I could in the previous one, which felt slightly more powdery. However, it's a very small difference. So here are the swatches again. So here's the Dior Gris. You can kind of see when the light hits it, you get a little bit of like a warm spot there. You can kind of see it, you know, you can see the gloss, but you don't really see color. And then this is the number 1 Dior Midnight, which I have to say for the name, I would have preferred something with a little bit more gray, something a little bit more, yeah, just, I don't know, maybe like the Givenchy black lip balm, which is still a favorite of mine. But this one here kind of took me by surprise being as red as it is. I knew that going in and I do like it, but I feel like the name should be perhaps a little bit different. So this is the final look. I have a light layer of the Dior Midnight on. Let's go ahead and talk about all the products we featured here today. So we start off with the Prada primer. I'm really loving this primer, and I think, I got makeup on it, but I think it's a great product. So when it does come back in stock, you know, I would highly recommend this. This is one, you know, I still love the Surat Perfectioniste. That's still, you know, just slightly, I feel like you use less product to get the same result with the Surat. So, that would still be my number 1, but this is such a close number 2. I know that I will be picking this up again, especially when there's like a sale. So I'm really loving the primer. Then we went with my normal concealer, the Valentino in LIGR2, and one of my most commonly used foundations, which is a mix of the Cle de Peau Radiant Matte Natural, these foundations in I-10. And I just put a 50-50 mix in the cushion. And then for cheeks, we went into the Tom Ford Cream Blush. And I have to say, you know, super expensive cream blush, really great thin formula that gives a really natural look on the skin. So I'm still loving this, and I wanted to revisit it because it is one that I like to use quite a bit. And then we went in with the Glow Maximizer from Dior in the shade Nude, which is a little bit of a coppery nude. So we use that for a highlight. I think it pairs nicely with the Tom Ford. For all of these products, we use the Rephr and Alexandra Anel brush, which is a 3D shape. And let's just look at a couple comparisons. So this is the Alexandra Anel. You can see that we have, you know, our fibers start to elongate here, and it really gets wispy at the top. So in my opinion, this makes it really ideal for liquids and creams, like the thinner cream textures though. Also works really well for powders with a light finish. This is the Rephr B04, which is a synthetic that just recently came out. You can see this is going to be much more dense, and you know, obviously it's not as long. So completely different purpose, but I just wanted to show you the size differences here. And then this is, I use this one, so it's dirty right now, but the B05, which also came out. This is like kind of a concealer brush. So very similar shape, but you can see that these are gonna, this is also synthetic, but these are kind of all together, whereas we have more wispy, more stippling fibers on the Alexandra Anel. You can see that we definitely have longer fibers all throughout, which really helps give you that softer blend. This is a Rephr Holiday B brush. This is Saibikaho hair, and this is one of my favorite blush brushes. You can see it's really soft, and you know, it just gives you kind of like that soft pressed finish. You can really kind of fan things out, but look at the size difference here. This is significantly larger, and again, we don't have those stippling fibers. And then this is the Bobo and Chikuhodo CH1, which is one of my favorites as well. And you can see here, again, very similar shape, no stippling fibers, and the Alexandra Anel Rephr brush is significantly smaller. I'd say this is about 2/3 the size of the Bobo and Chikuhodo. Overall, my thoughts on this, I really think this is a great multitasker brush. So I'm impressed. I think it's a good option. And one thing that I want to note here is we do have a longer handle. So this again, was a holiday brush. You can see the height here. This is the Rephr 15. You can see our height difference here. And this was the B03 or B04. So you can see this definitely has a longer handle, which allows you to get an even softer application if you're holding the end, or again, choke up on it, get more grip and control. Moving on, we took a look at the Viseart Petite Matte in the Cool Original, which I'm so happy this is back. Let's go ahead and swatch these, and I'm going to put the swatches relatively close so we can see them. We start off, obviously these are all going to be mattes. We start off with kind of a linen ivory shade, followed by more of a soft mauve. Next, this one here is a soft beige, but it's not just beige. You can see we've got a little bit of a rosy vibe to that as well. Then we have this lighter brown here, and it's a pretty neutral brown. I think that's really nice. You can see you can really create a nice look just with the top row there. And then for the middle row, we're moving on to a deeper brown. Again, this is neutral, but this one's leaning a little cooler. Then we move into this soft pale pink. And this is kind of similar to my shirt. It's a little warmer than the pink in my shirt. Think of the carnation pink crayon from Crayola. And then we have a violet. And I didn't pick up there very much there, so there's a little bit better of a swatch there. And what I love about Viseart mattes is they're so easy to blend out, put on, and they stay put all day. So then we have kind of this charcoal gray, but there's a little bit of teal in there. So you know how grays can lean like purple or blue or whatever. I'd say this one leans teal. Then for the bottom row, we have this cobalt blue. Look at that. Really beautiful cobalt blue. Then we have more of this purple with gray in it. So think of like a dusky purple. And then we have a dusty blue. And our last shade here is going to be a deep brown, almost like a brown black. So that is going to be our Cool Matte Original palette. I love it. And they blend out so easily. And I feel like they don't look dry on the eyes. And we also use the Viseart Smoky Eye medium size brush for blending. I love this. And I just think this is such a great palette. So if you don't have the original, this might be one to look into. Now, just a few details from the back. They do label all of the shades on the back of this packaging. So it comes like this. If you're not familiar with Viseart packaging, this kind of folds out. You have product information here. You have this plastic tray to keep all of your shadows in, and there's a mirror. So you can leave it just like this, or you can put it in the cardboard box, which is where the shades are labeled. Viseart does sell their shades individually, which is great. But I do want to note a few things that it says here on the package. There is a warning for shades 2, 3, 7, 9, and 10. So that would be 2, 3, and then 7, 9, and 10. And it says that those have pigments that the FDA has not approved for use in the eye area. So just something to note, that's for the US in particular, not for other countries where it has been approved. So just something to note. We have a 3-year shelf life with these, and they are going to be made in the United States. And I have to say, I'm super happy with it. So we have 12 grams of product. So we have 12 shades, 1 gram pan each. And one of the great things is all of these pans are magnetic. You can mix and match. They're very easy to lift up, and you can interchange them easily with some of their other palettes. They also sell empty palettes. Then I use 2 of my staple products, the Queen Museum Mascara, which is my current go-to for volumizing. This is the one I have open right now. The rest that I have open right now really focus more on lengthening, which is my go-to, but sometimes you just want a little volume or drama. This is the one I've been reaching for. I actually have another one of these already to go. And then the Victoria Beckham Baby Blade in taupe. So I used that just a little bit on the brows. Then we went into the new Dior lip balms, and I have those here on my hand. You can see this is number 1, Dior Midnight, which is a nice garnet red. Out of the 3 balms that they came out with, this is the one I would pick just because, you know, it gives a little color. And then we have number 1, Dior Gris, which I think was just kind of a waste because it's pretty much clear or translucent. I don't really see any color on my lips. Can't really see it on the hand very well. And considering they also have a clear, I just feel like this was a wasted opportunity. They could have done something really cool. In the photos, it looks like this really cool kind of lilac-y gray, and it's not in real life. Actually, just even looking at it in the tube here, it's more of a soft blush shade with you can see a little bit of a lilac-y hue, but not much. It actually looks a lot warmer. It's just, I'm disappointed. So texturally though, they're nice, but I don't think they're anything to write home about. So I hope this has been helpful. Please share your thoughts on the items featured here today, whether you've tried any of these, your thoughts. And thank you to Rephr for gifting me this, as well as Viseart for gifting me this palette. I love Viseart shadows and I've been buying them for years. And you know, I can't believe I didn't have this originally, but I'm so happy to have it now. So thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you very soon.